My name is Michelle, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married to my husband Cooper for 3 years now. We haven't had children yet because of our work commitments, but lately we've been discussing starting a family soon. I have a younger brother named Jonathan, who is 30. He's always been a quiet and reserved person. When we were kids, he followed me everywhere, but because he wasn't very talkative, making friends was a challenge for him. However, to me, he was always my adorable little brother, and I did my best to support him. Even as we grew older, we remained close, meeting up regularly. I got married when I was 29 and Jonathan moved out to focus on his career. We still enjoyed going out for meals and spending time together, so I never expected him to suddenly announce that he was getting married. Jonathan's wife was someone he met at work. He has always been intelligent, graduating from a prestigious university and landing a job at a major company. His wife worked there as a clerk. When he first showed me her picture, I was surprised. She had a flashy appearance, which didn't seem like the kind of person my introverted brother would be drawn to. Out of curiosity, I asked, "What do you like about her?" Jonathan thought for a moment before answering, "She's the complete opposite of me." At first, I was confused, but then he explained, "I've always struggled to express myself, but she speaks her mind so easily. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes not." Seeing him talk about her, even a little shyly, made me happy. It was rare for my quiet little brother to express his feelings like that, and I felt like he must have truly found someone special. That night, I told my husband about it. Cooper grinned and said, "Wow, looks like Jonathan is stepping up in life." Cooper is an actor and fairly well known. If you watch TV or read magazines, you'd probably recognize him. I'm a model, not an actress, but we met through work. I mainly do magazine shoots, so I don't appear on TV, but we crossed paths multiple times at photo shoots before we properly got to know each other over a meal with mutual acquaintances. Our relationship developed naturally, and after dating for a while, we got married 3 years ago. Even now, things are great between us. Sometimes I still can't believe I'm married to such a handsome actor. He always looks effortlessly cool. Although Cooper is an only child, he treats Jonathan like a real little brother. The two of them even go out for drinks together sometimes, so when Jonathan's wedding was announced, Cooper was thrilled. A few months later, on the day of the wedding, I put on a brand new dress I had bought for the occasion and had my hair and makeup done by a professional. Cooper wore a sharp suit, looking even more dashing than usual. I couldn't help but admire him and think, "Is this really my husband?" "You look especially beautiful today," he told me, making me smile. Feeling excited for my brother's big day, we headed to the wedding venue. But as soon as we arrived and entered the hall, I noticed something strange. Why isn't my name on the family table? My parents' names were there, and so was Cooper's, but mine was missing. My husband and I exchanged confused looks. "Is this a mistake?" I asked, puzzled. Even my parents were taken aback when we brought it up. They had no idea what was going on. Just as we were trying to figure things out, the bride's mother approached us with a smirk. "Oh, Michelle, you're here. I invited you, didn't I?" she said. I frowned. "What do you mean? My seat isn't prepared." She casually replied, "As you can see, we didn't prepare a seat for you." I was stunned. I was the groom's sister. Why wouldn't I have a seat? And why was the bride's mother the one telling me this? My mom immediately spoke up. "What do you mean? Michelle is Jonathan's sister. Of course, she should have a seat." But instead of responding to my mother, the bride's mom turned to Cooper, her whole demeanor changing. She even wrapped her arm around his. "Oh, but Cooper, we made sure to prepare a seat for you. Please come sit down," she said, her tone suddenly sweet and inviting. Cooper quickly pulled away from her grasp and put his arm around my shoulder. "This isn't funny," he said firmly. But the bride's mother didn't back down. She looked directly at me and said, "Anyway, Michelle, you don't have a seat, so could you leave?" Her smug expression made it clear that she was enjoying this. I was too shocked to even respond. "Got it. Let's go home," I finally said, and Cooper immediately took my hand. My parents, seeing what had happened, offered to leave with us. But I shook my head. "No. Jonathan would feel awful if you left. Please stay and attend the wedding. Cooper and I will go." As we turned to leave, the bride's mother came running after us. "Wait, Cooper," she called, breathless. Without even acknowledging me, she turned to my husband and said, "Michelle can leave, but you should stay. You'll liven up the event. Oh, and let's take a picture together." As if it was the most natural thing in the world. That was the final straw for Cooper. "Don't mess around," he snapped. Cooper is usually mild-mannered, but his anger silenced the entire room. "You insulted my wife and expected me to just go along with it? I wouldn't take a photo with someone so disrespectful." The bride's mother stood there, mouth agape. Even my parents were speechless. "Let's go, Michelle," Cooper said, taking my hand, and with that, we left the venue. Later, my parents told me that the bride's mother remained in a sour mood for the rest of the ceremony, but the wedding still proceeded as planned. Jonathan, however, had no idea what had happened. When he returned to our parents' house and heard the full story, he immediately called me. As soon as Cooper and I arrived at my parents' house, Jonathan rushed over and bowed deeply. "I'm so sorry, sis. I never meant for today to turn out like this," he said. I sighed. "Jonathan, this isn't your fault." He looked uncomfortable, hesitating before speaking again. "Hey, sis. I don't really understand why my mother-in-law did this to you. We only met her once before at the family introduction, right?" Jonathan's expression darkened. "It turns out she's jealous of you," he said hesitantly. "Jealous?" I repeated, shocked. "Apparently, she wanted to be a model when she was younger. But she never passed any auditions. She tried pushing her daughter into the industry too, but that didn't work out either. It was an unexpected revelation, and while I didn't want to be rude, I couldn't help but think, that explains a lot." When my brother revealed the reason behind all of this, I was stunned. Was that really why they had treated me so poorly? As I tried to process everything, my husband turned to Jonathan and asked, "I understand why that woman resents Michelle, but how did you not realize any of this until now?" "Jonathan, you weren't aware of it either, were you?" Jonathan looked visibly uncomfortable. "I left all the wedding planning to my fiancé," he admitted, his head hanging low. As we listened further, we uncovered even more troubling details. My brother had been swamped with work and had originally intended to postpone the wedding. However, his fiancée and her mother had already gone ahead with the arrangements without his input. His fiancée had quit her job as soon as they started planning and insisted on making all the decisions herself. Their justification? The bride is the star of the wedding, so she should have full control. Jonathan's voice began to tremble. "I'm so sorry, sis. I never thought things would turn out this way," he said, tears streaming down his face. It wasn't his fault. Looking back, there had been red flags from the start. Despite being immediate family, we hadn't received a formal invitation, yet my husband had been given detailed wedding information directly from the bride. It was only in hindsight that I realized how strange that was. "Jonathan, it's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself," I reassured him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. He continued apologizing, his eyes full of regret. Once he calmed down, he told us that he needed some time away from his wife. To be honest, I no longer wanted to be involved with such an unreasonable family, but this was Jonathan's life, his decision to make, so I chose to support him from a distance. A while later, my brother contacted me again. "Mom-in-law wants to talk to you. Can you come over?" I was baffled. After everything that had happened, shouldn't they be the ones offering an apology first? My husband, still furious over the whole situation, shared my sentiment. But I knew I wouldn't feel at peace unless I confronted them directly, so I agreed to go. That day, Jonathan, my husband, who insisted on coming for support, and I arrived at their house together. The moment we rang the doorbell, my brother's mother-in-law noticed my husband and her voice took on an exaggerated sweetness. "Oh, Cooper, I'll open the door right away." But as soon as she saw me, her expression soured. Ignoring her hostility, I stepped inside without hesitation. In the living room, Jonathan's wife was also present, but I wasted no time on pleasantries. "You said you wanted to talk. What is it?" The mother-in-law folded her arms. "Shouldn't you apologize first?" I raised an eyebrow. "Apologize? For what exactly?" "Because of you, Cooper didn't attend the wedding. Do you know how many people were looking forward to seeing him? This is all your fault. Can't you at least say sorry?" I was dumbfounded. "Are you serious? With all due respect, isn't this situation entirely your doing? It was incredibly inconsiderate not to reserve a seat for the groom's sister at her own brother's wedding. Her lips twisted into a sneer. "You're getting too full of yourself just because you've been in some magazines." Jonathan's wife smirked and chimed in, "Yeah, just because you have a nice body, your face is decent, but there are plenty of models like you." The two of them burst into laughter, and to my shock, Jonathan's mother-in-law joined in. Before I could respond, my brother slammed his hands down. "Enough. Do you have any idea how hard my sister has worked to get to where she is? She's turned her struggles into strengths." He was right. My height had always been a sore spot for me, a trait I inherited from our father. In school, boys mocked me, calling me a giant girl. I avoided heels, constantly slouched, and tried to make myself smaller. But then one day, Jonathan said, "Sis, you should embrace your height. It's a gift." His words changed everything. I began standing tall, wearing heels confidently. The world seemed brighter. One day while I was out with my family, a scout noticed me, and that was how my modeling career began. If it weren't for Jonathan's encouragement, I never would have met my incredible husband. Thinking back on this, Cooper finally spoke up. "Michelle works hard every single day, stretching, exercising, maintaining her figure. Meanwhile, have you two even looked in the mirror before criticizing her?" His words struck a nerve. Their faces turned beet red as they lowered their heads in embarrassment. "People like you let your jealousy turn you ugly, inside and out. If you want to change, start with your attitude," Cooper continued, his presence commanding. Then Jonathan made his final decision. "I never expected you to be like this. I was ready to forgive if you had apologized, but I'm done. I want a divorce." His wife paled. No, please, not a divorce. I can't handle that." But Jonathan had come prepared. He pulled out his phone. "I recorded our conversation today, just in case." And that wasn't all. Other guests at the wedding had recorded their behavior as well. Jonathan made it clear, if she refused the divorce, he would take legal action. Cornered, she turned white as a sheet and signed the papers on the spot. Her mother, however, was livid. "This is all your fault," she screamed at me as we left. Ignoring her, we walked out. She tried pleading with Jonathan, but he was resolute. Nothing would change his mind now. Jonathan may have ended up divorced, but at least he had freed himself from a toxic family. It was undoubtedly for the best. On the way home, Cooper chuckled. "Michelle, you and I need to thoroughly screen Jonathan's next partner." Jonathan let out a small, tired smile. "Yeah, you're right. Next time my sister and brother-in-law will have to approve first. But I think I'll take a break from marriage for a while." When we told our parents about his divorce, they were overjoyed. They knew he had dodged a lifetime of misery. That night we threw a big celebration to support him. Meanwhile, his ex-wife, who had impulsively quit her job, found herself unemployed and struggling. She even had the nerve to blame our parents for spoiling Jonathan. But none of that mattered. My brother was finally free, and we continued having warm, happy family gatherings. I truly hoped that when the time was right, he would find someone who truly deserved him. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.